All right, well, so yeah, I just wanted to say Happy New Year. It's funny, so Warren County Public Schools has a preschool here and they have since August, since the school year started. And there were some kids that were really like just laying down on the floor this morning with their little backpacks, sitting down, waiting to go to their classes. So it's rough on everybody, but I wanted to admit it's been rough on me too. So I went to work on Tuesday wearing two different shoes of two different colors. So that's how my year's going. How's your year going? Yeah, it took Jessica to point it out.
One a tie and the other one a loafer.
No, they both were tied. I just, yeah. And I didn't even struggle to get them on. I mean, I just usually slip my shoes on anyway, but yeah, so I poked fun at myself on Facebook and then my wife made her own post and got a lot of other people to fess up that they've done the same thing. And I'm like, ha ha ha, you didn't make fun of me. You ended up getting everybody else to admit it. So anyway, how's the new year starting for you guys?
Right.
Busy.
Busy?
Oh,
That's good.
Busy is good.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. All right. Well, we'll start and proceed like we normally do. I think we've got everybody who's fairly familiar with themselves, but I do see a few people that might not be regular ones. So let me see. Jasmine, if you could introduce yourself, I'll call on you. Nope. Okay.
Justin, have you seen?
All right. Well, we'll just let everybody go around and introduce themselves real quick then. So just let's start with Leslie.
Hey guys, my name's Leslie Whitty. I am with the South Central Workforce Development Board.
And Amy, you've introduced yourself, so why don't you unmute real quick and do the same thing again?
Okay. I'm Amy Smith Thomas. I work for Butler County Adult Ed, and I also teach at our local jail. Thank you.
All right. Miss Pam, you're next on the viewing I can see. All right, so Pamela Pittman with Audubon, she's introduced herself in the chat. Mr. Heath.
Hey, good morning. This is Heath Ray at Community Action of Southern Kentucky with the refugee program.
Oh, okay, so there's Jasmine. She's trying to get her audio to work and she's at Fairview Community Health Center. Yeah, great. All right. Glad you could join.
I got my, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I couldn't make it work a minute ago. I'm Pamela Pittman. I'm with Audubon Area Community Services, specifically the Senior Community Service Employment Program.
Yep. Great. And good to see you as always. All right, Miss Joda, Dr. Joda.
Dr. Joda. Joda Johnson, Sky CTC, Adult Education, and Baron Warren Metcalf and Simpson. I was stuffing my face. That's why I had my camera off.
All right. And then Paula Brooks with Folk Rehab has introduced herself there in the chat. Nikki, if you could introduce yourself.
My name is Nikki Holgraver. I'm the adult recruiter for Sky CTC. And my new year is going kind of like yours. I cannot get the screen to move over where my camera is, so you all just get to see the side of my face.
I'm gonna turn the volume up. I think our volume's low. All right, let me have, let's see who else do we have. Ian Woolbright.
I'm here. Ann Woolbright, United Way, Southern Kentucky 211. That's about it.
Okay. I thought that was you, Ann. Thank you. All right. Well, we'll let the folks in the room go around and introduce themselves. So let me get this to move, hopefully. No, it doesn't want to move. All right. So I'm going to manually move it. And we'll start with Jessica.
Jessica Calvert, South Central Workforce Development Board.
You're welcome.
I'm Vice Chair Bottom, one-stop operator.
Shannon Gottfried with School District.
Mark Hamilton with Veterans Upper Bound Trio Program.
Hello, Happy New Year. Anna San Cristobal, New American Workforce Navigator for South Central Workforce.
Rose McHugh as intern. Thank you.
And Brian Becker with the Workforce Development Board. So yeah, okay, well, thank you guys. I know it's always a little awkward to try to get everybody in the room and on Zoom to introduce themselves, but I'll just let this be the spot where we share news, updates, highlights, anything going on that we want partners and others to know about. So I'll have a few things as well, but yeah, Frank, you look like you want to go.
Yeah, we want to welcome Teresa Stokes from Job Corps to the Kentucky Career Center. She's actually going to be starting next week, and she'll be present at the Career Center at least one day of the week, but possibly 2 or 3 days out of the week. And she's from Job Corps.
Right. Yeah, actually, John and I had a chance to meet with Teresa yesterday and talk about Job Corps stuff. So Shannon, your name came up, so I've shared your email with her. You've been to Job Corps, right? Several times, yeah. So she's in that recruiting role and sort of on placement as well. So, but definitely recruitment, yeah. Okay, who else?
I can go, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, and Shannon was part of this as well. We had our first Putting Kentuckians First meeting that Michael is taking on in each county. So we're pretty excited about that here in Butler County. So I think that's going to help a lot of our citizens here in our county. And there you go.
Yeah, I actually don't have Butler added to the thing. I'm running out of column space here on this one flyer thing on the screen, but
We're meeting the first, well, in person, it will be the first Tuesday of every month.
Oh, great.
Starting next month. And we chose
Okay.
that, Michael and I chose that date because Shannon's already here as well on that date. So that way she doesn't have to make 2 or 3 trips to Butler County. So, but
Yeah.
thank you.
So how did that go?
It went great. It went great. He kind of took us through the spreadsheet and things on how we're gonna, I guess you can put in all the data for each person. And we went through each person and discussed if, and Shannon chime in, please, if you can think of anything else on who we've met the needs for, who we haven't met the needs for yet, who can help meet this person's needs, so we just discussed each person and it went really well.
And with,
I like it.
oh,
I
I'm
can't
sorry.
hear Shannon.
With Kentucky Christian Recovery, we've got quite a buy-in already. I mean, we had a kind of a ready-made group there.
So tell Joda who your contact is at the recovery center that used to work in adult ed, because I don't think she knows that.
Cynthia Garrett.
Yeah, so Cynthia's working over there.
Yeah, I deal with Cynthia too a lot. She's really nice.
Hey,
But it-
Amy,
Yes.
what time is the class for Butler County? And I can't, because I haven't made a flyer for that one yet.
Let me look and see. I'm pretty sure, but let me double check on my calendar. I'm old school, so I write stuff down in my calendar. All right, maybe I didn't.
And if you need to get back with me, that's fine.
That's the next Wednesday meeting. Yes, I don't think I wrote that down. I'm pretty sure, I'll get back with you to make sure, but I'm pretty sure it's from 11 until 12:30.
Okay.
Because Shannon's here at 11, so. But I'll double check and I'll email you or text you, Leslie.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you all.
Shannon's checking too. So I think we went over this a little bit, the concept of this, and I'm most on the call are familiar because you're at these or someone from your staff or a colleague or somebody is here, but this is like the main sort of, especially I guess I would call it main WIOA partner, title partner kind of provider thing. Now Site is not one of those, but Voc Rehab, Adult Educations, Workforce Board, and of course we subcontract with Career Team. That's like our region's core group of WIOA funded things. And then Site started at a Workforce Board, but they have the ability to pay for some things for folks that are going through rehabilitation and like an opioid specific, I want to say. I should know this, but
It's recovery.
yeah, in the recovery space. And so the concept is just like many of those same entities and some of the other ones are invited when a company closes down, and we call that a rapid response event. And we were very active, having to unfortunately do several of those last year in different counties. It's a concept of, it's not people losing their job, but it's a targeted group that's there for folks that don't necessarily have to be going through recovery. You can see that's the last thing on the way that Leslie's worded it, you know, anyone needing blah, 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 or going through, you know, recovery. But even if they're not going through recovery, and it's to connect them to recovery resources. So it's got a wide scope, but its intent is to help recruit people that that do have justice involved backgrounds of any age, but especially working age, but you know, that are adults, so that because the number one thing that you usually hear from folks when you can get their attention is, I never knew this existed. And so this has been an opportunity to say, we're going to plant a flag somewhere every month in the very same gist and way that we were using and do use Shannon for years to go and bring services that the Career Center would offer to go to different places in the community, and specifically like adult eds and libraries. This is doing the same thing, but with more than Shannon. So I'm sure Shannon's welcome to have the help, because Shannon often refers to all these different places when she connects with people. So this is getting all those partners under one roof and having a sort of a platform to let people come in and talk to all of them and connect. Now there is a concept of what is called the Putting Kentuckians First program, which is where there's going to be a specific intake, and a mental health provider or recovery center, somebody's going to take lead and make the referrals, but everybody referred or connected is going to share a spreadsheet to see how things are going for that one person. So that's sort of the new flavoring and approach that's going on, that our Michael Updegraff is overseeing. And this has been one of the projects born out of that, is really try to find people, especially that are not at jail and may not be at a recovery center, to get the wider audience that's not currently in that situation of being housed in one of those two types of facilities. So, but has these challenges, right? So has maybe a criminal conviction history or justice involved past. And so yeah, Job Corps was actually brought up. I mentioned it to Teresa, Frank and Shannon, is that might be a good thing. But just to be clear, we don't really invite the training providers to this yet. So sometimes the folks are just not at a point where they're ready to enroll in college or enroll in a heavy technical training program or something. So they'll get connected eventually, but this is sort of the first responders group, I guess you could call it, that can be there. So GED or basic adult education would be kind of those more immediate needs to help, because there's so many in that demographic that don't have a GED. So and many times you have to have one of those before you can start a training program anyway. So yeah. So we've had other training providers ask, oh, I want to be at that, or, you know, I do recruitment, I want to be out helping recruit at these things. It's like, well, it's still not the best environment yet, but it will eventually connect to you for folks that are going through. So does that make sense? Because I know it could just be a ton of people, like every one of us on the call could want to go out there and maybe say, oh yeah, I'd love to. If you think you're going to get a crowd, I would definitely want to be there. And it's not a job fair, so we're not inviting employers for the same reason. Some people are just not work ready. This is meant to be, let's do an intake and let's figure out exactly from top to bottom what their needs are, and then take it step by step. So, but please, if you have any questions about it, let us know. And Michael Updegraff is sort of the main, like I said, he's on our staff, but he's sort of the main contact for coordinating these. But the goal this year is to have these turned on in every county, so that every county has a place, a public facility, public place where all of this sort of this networking coming together is happening.
And I wanted to mention to Leslie that Amy was correct about the time. It is 11 to 12:30.
Okay, great. And we also have a job fair coming up at the Career Center. So we only did 2 of these last year, but they hadn't happened since before the pandemic at the Career Center. And so we had a very successful one last January. January seems to be one of those more ripe times, that the lull of the holidays, everybody's ready to, you know, get back to get back going. When I say everybody, I mean employers, but also the appetite from job seekers is there. And unfortunately, we've had quite a few job seekers coming to the Career Center in the last week or two that have been laid off. So I think there's some prime matchmaking that can happen, but you can see the details there. And another lovely Leslie flyer that is promoting it for January 17th at the Career Center from that 10 to 2 o'clock time span. So those are the employers that have been invited that at one point confirmed. We never can promise because sometimes people back out and then other ones get added last minute. But that's who we have that we're trying to bring in there at the Career Center at Chestnut Street. So any questions about that? All right. I just want to brag real quick that we did a very exhaustive report. I mentioned this last month too, but Leslie worked very, 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 very hard on it. It only took her 5 minutes. I think she only had a 5-minute break while she was doing it. But it was sort of our year in review. And so that's on our board website. I'm just making a commercial for that, but that highlights the work of a lot of different partners, but specifically with this board. Kind of had their fingers touching and doing throughout the whole year, and the amount of job seekers that were impacted and other ways we got out and provided great services and opportunities for people. So if you get a minute to read that, that would be awesome. I think that's going to do it for my highlights. Oh no, got one more. Heath, why don't you take this one like you did last month?
Awesome. Yeah. So we talked about getting the gang together again, and so we're doing that on January 26th. It'll be here at Community Action at 9:30, and it's anyone who provides services to international folks, whether that be refugees or other immigrant categories. But it will be across sector. So we'll have people that help with employment. We'll have people that help with medical issues. We have other case management things. Just, you really never know who's going to show up. But it's always been great to make contacts with people, because we know the people that come, even in for employment services, they sometimes have other needs that we can't meet. So you often will make connections at these meetings to refer to. So if you can join us, I can put a link to sign up or to RCP in the chat, and yeah, I'd be happy to have you.
Yeah, and I'll make a quick distinction too, that our group here with the community partner team is more employment and employment results and workforce, flavored and related. That group is any and all needs that the refugee and immigrant community has, right, Heath? So there's faith-based entities there, mental health, school systems. So it doesn't necessarily mean people that are work ready or even just adults. So it's the wider group of resources available for that population. So yeah. All right. Anybody else have any other announcements before we move further? News or updates? All right. This shameless plug. I didn't update this, Leslie, sorry. On our workforce, I'll show it. But if you're not already on the team or getting emails from Frank, or you have somebody on your team that wants to do it, then I'll do a little demo walkthrough of that too. But we wanted to let this month's topic be the employer toolkit. So who has heard of this resource as far as what the Workforce Board has put together? Shannon has? Okay. What do you know? Leslie? Yeah, Leslie, you can't answer that question. What have you heard about it, Shannon?
Heard it's fantastic.
Heard it's fantastic. Has anybody else heard of this? Be honest. If you haven't, then that's why we're going to talk about it. No? Okay, I'm assuming the rest are no's then. Oh, Heath put a comment. Okay. So what we have had happen is, I'll give a quick backstory because I've been around so freaking long, and Paula has too, and Heath and others. But like years and years ago, before this Workforce Board even existed, there was the concept to have a business services team, and that would be a group of providers that would come together and be like kind of one voice and one face to employers. And so basically, if you got in touch with one of us, we would open up and get you in touch with everybody else. And there were actually meetings that happened. There was a bunch of meetings that happened. And then right before COVID, there was actually a Barron County only business services team that came to be born, and it actually started to have some employers on it. But basic idea was resources and services, projects that maybe employers wanted to get into, that the service providers were coming together directly and trying to keep notes with each other on who had done what. And so like, I'm here to talk about training, but if you need this, oh, that other entity does it, and I'll have them call you. So the way it was explained to me years ago was, it's sort of like if you had a repairman come to your house for the refrigerator and say, well, I can't fix your heat and AC if you're having an issue with that, but I can get you in touch and make a recommendation with somebody. Or, oh, you need new flooring, I know somebody for that too, let me have them call you and do the next step. So you didn't have to like go to the phone book and try to figure out who all provides all these different things. Well, we were sort of there for a while. It could be argued how well it was happening, but we had then the ability to hire full-time staff, like Bianca, who just walked in. So Bianca, raise your hand, because I know they can probably see you on the screen there. She's in a business service representative role, and Jake Brown is currently also in that role. And so there were these designated staff, and they sometimes switch between being reporting to the board or career team. They've been with career team now for several years. So, but those were sort of like the main points of contacts that kind of took on that role. So the other groups sort of dissolved, but we've had our own internal meetings of career team and workforce board staff, and even CDO, the Career Development Office at Career Center staff that have, we meet every week and we talk about engagements with employers and things like that. But that doesn't always mean that information makes it out to you guys, or that you guys are aware of the conversations that we're having, or all the tools and resources, all the initiatives and programs that are going on. So what we found is that when we talk to HR, they're very much like the job seekers. They just have no idea what exists, right? And if you guys ever have a chance to talk to employers in your roles, they'll be like, oh my gosh, I did not know. Now, holding their attention long enough to get them to take advantage of everything is really a mighty task. But if you can just give them awareness, whether they take advantage of all the tools or not, at least giving them access to it is the goal. And so that's what this toolkit is going to try to do. So this is just a screen grab from our website. So now what I'm going to do is stop sharing and then open this up so that I can share from the web what this looks like. So give me just a second.
And while Brian is talking, I just want to make sure everyone knows this resource is fantastic. It is awesome. And it is also impossible to view correctly on your phone. So if you ever need to access the employer toolkit, make sure you do it on a desktop.
Thank you for that plug, because I probably would have forgot to say that. So here's the Workforce Board website. Again, if you have not seen this, it got totally revamped. It took Leslie 5 minutes back in a couple months ago. And so now she went right from this website into the annual report. So it was a lot, but here's what I was talking about earlier with the community partners. So if you click this tab, there's actually 3 things you can do. You can see the meeting dates, but they're always the first Thursday from 9:30 to 10:30. You can join. So if you're ever like, what's the Zoom or whatever, like that, this legit takes you right to the Zoom link and lets Deronda see you and lets you join. But then if you are wanting to get your information entered into our sort of database and get on Frank's listserv for email blast, all of that, you're all probably on it already. But again, if you have somebody on your team that you want to receive this information, or that you think needs to also attend these meetings, somebody new, or if you've had staff changes or whatever, this is a really good thing to get. Just even if they can't attend the meetings, if they can just get the emails, then that would be great. But let me go back to the home screen. So we have 3 main things here. Our calendar of events, that's going to show all those cool things like the targeted orientation classes, where Shannon is at, so you can keep up with Shannon's schedule. Job fairs, all of that stuff is going to be in the calendar events. Help for job seekers, this is going to be all the different ways that job seekers can connect in with our workforce system and learn a little bit more about how we help them. But the employer assistance tab is where we have basically 3 main things that we're offering to them. So we have a kind of like our WIOA flavored service menu that's going to be able to do WIOA powered things for businesses. The Get Connected is just for them to fill out an intake so we can do some follow-up with them. But then here you can see the employer toolkit. And so this is actually, it's going to open in a Google Doc, is what it is. And it has an outline on the side, has a little intro, and then it has kind of a directory where you can jump to different things. So here's how it's broken down into 5 main categories, like who's in the workforce ecosystem, business intelligence. One of the boxes is not showing up, Leslie. I don't know what's going on here. That's weird. Oh, wait, it's showing up like that. Okay. Hiring events, untapped talent, and more resources. So for some reason, I guess maybe I hit a button. I'm the editor on this thing, so I don't know what's going on. Yeah. But again, it's showing internal links and external links. You can click on the side to jump around. And then it has Bianca's contact info. So we've kind of pegged her as like, if you have any questions about anything here, here's just like one single person to get in contact with. And if you want to have a visit from somebody that's one of our business service reps, they can fill out a little inquiry. So of course, we are listing ourselves here first as far as our role and what we do. We are assuming that like this is a new HR person at a company that knows nothing about what's going on. And so we've got John's information. We've got all of the chamber. There's actually 11 chambers, and then 12 if you count the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce, but there's 11 in our area because Cave City has their own. So we've got links to all of those. Again, it's not a sales pitch. It's just if you want to find out, but obviously chambers of commerce can be really good sources of resources for employers. And then we have what we call the public workforce agencies and providers. So that starts with the Career Center, and then it's going to read a very similar format for the rest of this. So what's an overview of what they do, who's a local person, how do you call them and email them, where are they located at? Career team, what do they offer? What are some of the things that they can do? Who's the main point of contact? And also on Career Team gives a little bit about Shannon's role with the Career Coach on Call, since that's such a big service that happens. Folk Rehab, adult education. So since we have 3 providers, we had to list 3 contacts here, but you can see Joda's listed here as far as the counties that she said earlier that she serves. And then if you were to click the link, let me kind of show how the links work. This is going to the adult education actual website employer page. So if an entity had created a web page for employers, we are pointing to that where they can read more in-depth information and hear more about what might be offered at a local adult education program. But if they want to know what's going on in their local one, I have to get back to the toolkit, then they can see that. So same with Goodwill, Refuge Bowling Green, Hope House, Community Action. These are all players in the space of doing public workforce programs. The private ones, so we often get asked about staffing agencies or temp services and things like that. So we're not making any recommendations on those. But what we've created is just a link. It's actually in Bing. And it just maps and shows where they would be in our region. So you can zoom out, or anybody using this would be able to zoom out and see, because there's some of them have locations in here and in Glasgow or Russellville and things like that. So anyway, we're not saying the contact info for any of those. We're just saying if you want the contact, it's going to show up obviously in the search results here on the side. So that's again covering kind of the players in the space there. Then there's online job boards. So we often get asked like, where can I post jobs? So there's sort of several, and you guys might or might not know this, but the US has a national labor exchange where you can go on and see websites. That is sort of a Google search result of posts that are out there on like Indeed and stuff like that. So I'll just pull it up real quick because you guys might go, "Ooh, I never heard of this before." Because to be honest, it's hard to know that it exists. But this, for employers, they've got to create an account and be able to get in to see this. And actually, now that I realize that this actually is the employer-facing thing instead of the job seeker one. Does anybody know that website right off top? Yeah, okay. I don't know why it's pulling up only only here. I don't think it's this. No, sorry, that's another page, guys. Hang with me. It's hard for me to see past my Zoom controls. But anyway, on our, let's see, there's somewhere. I thought I had changed this link. Maybe I have it. Hang tight. Just move Zoom. There it is. This is the link I meant to show you. So this is what it would look like. So you can search by city. So if you wanted to see what is available, I hate, did I say I hate? I hate how they show other states and even things that are not in our region, but it's a Kentucky thing and it's not mine. They didn't ask for my opinion, but let's say we wanted to look in Morgantown for jobs. Then here's 25 jobs that show up in Morgantown, Kentucky. Now, keep in mind, what I also don't like is that some virtual or like work from home jobs show up on these and they still might have to involve travel somewhere else. It's weird that they put it as a place like Morgantown, but I've seen that happen a lot. So you would see just the job title and then you would click on that. You still don't see who the employer is, but you see the job description. So this looks like it's People Ready, which is a staffing agency, I believe. So yeah, when you would click into the actual post, it's for that. So it's helpful. It gives you some sense of what's out there. And then Handshake is what SkyCTC and WKU use for their students and their alumni that they encourage them to do. The thing is, employers have to create an account and post on there. But again, employers may not know that that exists. And then Bowling Green Works, that's been out for a couple of years now. That has a very quick apply feature. It has a very brief overview of what the company is and can offer. It doesn't necessarily post specific jobs. And then this part is really exciting. It's really cool that Leslie Winton did. So there are, as you guys may know, Facebook groups. Now there's like the buy, sell, trade pages, you know, and all of that. And you can join these and there's admins that approve it. And at that point, it becomes public domain. And so like what our advice to employers would be is like, be really intentional, be very clear what you post on these things and be very specific. But Leslie has compiled a PDF document that shows by county all of the ones. And at the point when she made it, back in September, the number of followers they had. So this is really cool for somebody in HR or a company to see just how big and how many followers some of these pages. So like Jobs in Scottsville has 1,900 people on it. And then there's another one that's Scottsville, Kentucky Jobs that has another 900 people. There's a 2,500 follower group in the Logan County. So that means there's that many people seeing the posts show up in their feed that they have subscribed to those pages. Now what we see, have you guys been on these before? Have you seen them? Have you joined your local one? I mean, it can be like, hey, my grandma's selling cookies, who wants some? I mean, it can be like, it's not the most professional. I call this the amateur, right? All those other ones are the pros. All of us are the pros. This is like the amateur way to do it. But it's like the, hey man, I need a job paying $19 an hour that lets me work when the wind's blowing in from the southwest at 5 miles per hour, right? Like it's very specific stuff that somebody might say. And you just have people just throwing out names, right? Go try this place, go try that place. But they will also say, oh, that place sucks. I mean, it's brutal. And so like, we're just like with HR, it's like, be careful, you know, handle it gently, like, cause you might post something about a job opportunity you have, and you might see some bite back happen. Now, I think the admins try to make sure like the super negative stuff doesn't get posted on there, or the super scandalous kind of things, right? But you have people that just say it's just public opinion. It's, you know, it's your uncle and your grandpa on there saying whatever comes to their mind, right? And so, but it can be helpful. We have seen people connect through these. Yes, Shannon.
What I like about it is that you have a lot of people that are employed, and there's some kind of an employer incentive to bring in referrals. And so they'll list the jobs that their company has open from an employee standpoint.
Yeah.
And so they're very timely and very specific when they post that, and reliable. You know, they don't get on there and do it, you know, just for fun.
Yeah.
So they're reliable.
But what we have found, so let me just kind of click on one of these. And again, they're usually all Facebook. There might be other social media channels that these sort of things exist on, but this is Bowling Green, Kentucky Job. I subscribe to this one. And I'll tell you, I mean, there's stuff on here. It's like what not to do, right? Bad flyers or bad information, but you know, it's just, hey, here's somebody, this person's an admin, someone needing a job. And there's people on here commenting. There's people that just start saying things. And then there's the spot where employers can actually post things, and say that they're hiring, right? And how to connect. So if you've got a community event or something you want to blast in the region, these are actually good resource provider pages as well. And that's why we're going over this stuff with you guys, because some of this stuff applies to you all as much as it does to employers. But if you're just trying to get in front of people virtually, I mean, this is thousands of people that are, you know, and the sum is 63,000 people. Now there's probably some on both, but there's got to be half that number easily that are unduplicated, right? That are on these pages. So, and then people tag each other. Like people will tag. So even if they're not following, they can tag and see a post show up. So we think that's a pretty cool resource to put out there, and it's really helpful that Leslie kind of compiled that list. The wage and benefit reports and information and things like that. Employers sometimes ask for those. There's a way to find out and connect to that stuff. The job fair. So this is a lot of the things that Bianca oversees and handles, and even things like our Kentucky Career Center event. So we're talking to employers about how there's different ones they could do, different types that could be on a campus at a college, could be on site where they're hosting it, and our team comes out to help them. Ones where maybe one of you guys is hosting it, and so we can, you know, connect them to those things. But I think probably one of the more helpful things that I wanted to go over with you guys is this, what we've termed accessing untapped talent. So these are all those focus group populations that we all work with, right? So not any of us probably serves everybody. We all have our niche that we're doing. And so we're trying to show the niches that exist. And so just general audiences, that would be basic, you know, career team and career center services. Justice involved, now we're starting to get into, you know, why should an employer look at a justice involved or somebody in reentry or, you know, going through recovery, something like that, second chance as it's often called. Who are the players that are in that space in our region? And that's going to grow. But basically, we're not going to list like the healthcare providers or all the recovery centers, because I don't know how much an employer is going to need to interact with one of those. But if they connected to one of these other three, they would put them in touch, basically, right? So the idea is sort of same concept as the business service team. If they connected with one of these first, these places know of a lot of other providers that the employer might be able to connect with. But another resource or type of thing we've tried to add is best practices for working with these different audiences. So these are just sort of a curated list of things that we have found that make a lot of sense. And there's so many things here, but it's up to how deep an HR person or a company wants to go. Everything from onboarding to retaining, hiring, all of that stuff to expungement. The Kentucky Chamber actually has some resources and a really valuable page too on all of this. But with each section, kind of each population, we're also trying to put just one main contact. So if it's like, man, I don't know what to click on, I don't know who to contact here, like, okay, contact Michael. And Michael's relatively new, but he's learning a lot. And he, again, he's in a role where he's supposed to be making handoffs for job seekers and also for companies. So new Americans, gosh, and this is a growing list, but Heath has seen a lot be born in his tenure with Community Action to see how many more resource providers have come on the scene to help refugees here. But we are listing all of the different players that are in this space, even interpretation and document translation services that are available. That has been a request we've heard from employers. Again, best practices, cultural competency training, and some of that stuff is coming soon. ESL and workplace literacy, digital literacy providers, you know, hey, I've got some people I need to refer. Where's something in my community or close to my community that they can connect into? And then just other types of recruitment things. So there's been other kind of products, I guess you would say, or fee-based things that have come on the scene. I'm trying to make that move over so some of this stuff shows up bigger. So next we have veterans, and you can see some of the things and spaces that are involved with the veteran. Again, employment kind of related. So we don't have a lot of the training providers listed on here. So we don't have like WKU, but again, the idea is, and I know Roberta's on the call, that if they connect with Roberta, that she is in a role where she's, connecting them to education and training opportunities and all of that. So again, just trying to throw a bunch of resources on here, individuals with disabilities and the service providers that are in that space. I don't have each of the individual ones that have accounts doing that, but again, Voc Rehab, and Paula's contact information is listed here, best practices. All of that's kind of summarized, working with high school and college students and graduates and other types of trainees, Job Corps, the WIOA program, SCK Launch, WKU, student advising, SkyCTC, registered apprenticeships, all this stuff is on here. I'm running out of breath, everybody. And then more resources. So, all right, what happens with rapid response? It's not one of those selling points that we're trying to get people to do, right? It's like, oh, your company's closing, now you need rapid response, but we don't lead with, hey, here's how we can help you. If you need to fire everybody, we can come on site and help you with that. Like it's kind of under more additional resources, right? Same with SCK Launch and what's going on there, and how the Bowling Green Chamber does a lot with people in our region to do 8th grade kind of career exploration opportunities and a graduating senior high school event. And then there's all these tax credit things. So if you're like, I've heard of these things, I've heard of something called WOTC. Well, that's work opportunity tax credit. There's information about that. There are actual tax incentive programs that employers can take advantage of for hiring certain populations. Most everybody that I just scrolled down through would qualify. And it gives instructions for employers on how they can do that. United Ways 211, they may or may not know about that, but that kind of catches a lot of the other miscellaneous needs. I've got somebody who they just had a house fire. I'm trying to find resources for them. 211 would be a great place for that. Hey, I want to have professional training or event planning things. Who are some of the providers in our area that do that? Our job seeker map, which is a resource we went over several months ago, as far as just resources that's more job seeker facing or individual facing, that company facing is there. And we end with the lovely, as Leslie calls it, be a workforce insider. So all the different channels that the workforce board has going, that Leslie actually oversees, that they can follow us and find out or be kept in the loop on events and other opportunities. So what do you guys think? I'm going to stop here and just let you guys give feedback and ask questions.
Well, I made the comment in the chat box. I was like, wow. I think this is fabulous. I think it's going to be very beneficial. And I appreciate all the work that you all put into this to help us help other people. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Amy. Yeah.
And Brian's been giving me lots of shout outs today, and I think that I'm gonna throw it right back at him, because this is a crazy amount of work. This is a crazy amount of work. But it is something that I think has been much needed for a long time. So I'm very appreciative of Brian taking this on, because I know it hasn't been, the easiest thing, but I do think it is incredibly helpful, and also on a side note, just for anyone else wondering, I thought Tony's background was brownies, but they are wooden cutouts of our tin cans. So just one. So,
that's cool.
Which I think is very cool, but maybe it's because I'm hungry, but I sent her a message and I was like, is your background brownies?
I was trying to change it because I was like, dang, it does look like brownies. I went to a vote. I went to I guess it's the Brad building. over in Plum Springs, and that was on their wall. And I was like, oh, cool. So I took a picture of it. I was like, because it's our 10 counties.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and now I know I can see that, but before
Beforehand, it was like
knowing, I thought it was either brownies or steak.
So Brad now is going to stand for Brownie Regional Area Development District.
Right.
Yes, I am hungry.
All right. Well, again, if you guys, after looking at this, and I know I went like real quick, top to bottom through it, and it still feels like I talked about it forever, but if this is sort of the thing that it's like, if I don't know the answer, let me see if I can find you an answer, right? Like, so that this is at everybody's fingertips. And if something goes out of date or a link doesn't work, or you're like, hey, I think this thing should be added, by all means, we want to be able to expand on this menu and keep it relevant, keep it current, and all of that. So, but it is pretty amazing that all of these things exist in our region, right? But if you've ever got something that you're like, we use this other toolkit thing when we talk to employers, and it's helpful in talking about our populations. I mean, if we need to make it an external link that gets added, by all means, we would love to do that too. Because the problem, and I was very much like on the job seeker map and on this, like, I don't like the government ease that things get explained oftentimes. So like none of us usually, Leslie's the exception, but none of us usually have anything to do with how a website that our company creates looks, right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know like if you're a SkyCTC or WKU employee, you don't get to say, I think that could be better. That's not like, but oftentimes they'll be like, hey, do you have any new information or something like that? But when it comes to government programs, oh my gosh, can they bore you to death? Or they got nothing on them, and it's just a bunch of like nothing that you're just like, I've even gone on pages where it's like 404, page not found. I'm like, are you serious? Like, so I just didn't want, I know, again, I'm picking on employers when I say attention span, but my own attention span, like I don't have the attention span to go on rabbit hole digging on Google, right? Like, so this was an attempt just to have like a glorified link system, but also as much as we could, personal contacts with the people. So again, if we have turnover, we're going to have to update this thing. Yes, go ahead.
Go back down to, I was just looking at Roberta's name on there. Did it say DVOR?
DVOP?
Okay, never mind.
Yep.
It looked like an R. So.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian.
Yes.
I also think that this, and this is just the teacher coming out at me, I also think this is so structured that it can be used, anybody could use it, and it's user friendly. And Tony and Shannon can probably vouch for this too from our meeting yesterday. I think we can also use this in our Putting Kentuckians First meetings as well, for information that, we could go to with our citizens that we're helping. So this is awesome. I mean, I get excited. I'm probably overly excited about things, but this excites me. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I mean, help us promote it to employers, because I have tried to, this is sad, y'all, but I reached out to all the chambers. The Bowling Green one I worked very closely with on like getting feedback from, because I know they would get it in front of people. And so then the ask is, could you post it on your website? And the Metcalfe County Chamber of Commerce said, thank you, we will get this added. I have let our web development person know. None of the other ones even acknowledged that I sent it to them. So it's sad, but like, it's like, this is like, you didn't have to pay for this. We're not charging, whether you're a member of a chamber or not. Like, this is just community resources that are out there. And what's interesting is some of these chamber pages don't even have anything that falls underneath community events or community resources, right? So like it's a lot of work to think about how to put all that together. And so we just like the easy button, like all you have to do is link it so that the employers that might go visit your page can go on here and see that this thing exists and how to connect. But you don't have to know all the answers. You just have to know, where to turn. So if you guys have chamber contacts that are not Metcalfe or Bowling Green, that, be like, hey, did you get that email? Or, hey, did you hear about the employer toolkit? Y'all should put that on your website. And I sent it like right before Christmas, I think. So, I mean, I know some people were taking time off and.
I'm on it for Morgantown already in Butler County, so
Okay, thank you, Amy.
you're welcome.
Because that's the thing, is that, you know, a lot of employers turn to their local chambers to supply them information on things. And so my ask to them was, could you post it on your website, and could you start including it in your newsletters or anything? And so hopefully they can start blasting it out and people can know about it. So. Yep. All right. Yeah, so Paul is saying that it seems like for years, different committees mentioned having a resource guide. So the fun thing is, like, now we don't have to have meetings about this stuff. We can just say it's there. But no, seriously, I mean, it's something to be owned by all of us, because all of us are in this space. And so even if you have a new type of service that's going to be available for employers, or something to add to the repertoire that you think needs to get added, I mean, by all means, there's not a very tough screening process to get onto this thing. So, all right. And I do want to remind everybody that, let me go back to our board website, because Amy, you mentioned getting it in front of job seekers. That job seeker map might be a better resource, and I'll explain why. So I think Leslie has that here. There's Shannon. Shannon's never gonna she's gonna be like, man, she's gonna get tired of seeing her own picture eventually, right? But here's the job seeker map. So the map, and this is in Google too. It's in the process of getting converted to a website, but it's going to be available in different languages. But even the one in English is going to have a job seeker version of this, Amy. So if you were like, okay, what are the career training opportunities that are available in our region? It will list the GED programs and how those are set up. It lists SkyCTC and WKU, but the other training. So if y'all are like, well, what does WIOA pay for? What are the trainings that it can do? Short-term training, that's the section that's going to be underneath. And so you can see here where we've got the CDL program that SkyCTC does, and I went fast, but the schedule, the cost, the requirements, the potential salary, and then a way to contact that program. Construction training. So heavy equipment, that one launched in the summer. Got to get that updated. But lineman training, it's not offered in our area. It's in Madisonville and Somerset, but a way to click. And that's actually going to connect you to Tony Palmer, who's on the call, that has helped connect people to that, so that even if they don't qualify for financial assistance, we can get them in touch with the programs that run that. But there's a lot of healthcare programs. So EMT, and how that's offered, the salary. And if you click to connect for more, that's also going to get you connected to Career Team. And you'll fill out a little request for information. So that's just a quick overview again of that job seeker map, because that's sort of the other side of the coin of who we were thinking would be the target audience. That it's a little bit different than just showing a bunch of links, right? It's got a little bit more information. So if they didn't know anything about Job Corps, there's a little overview about Job Corps, and then a website to connect in and start doing an intake process if you wanted to sort of raise your hand that you want them to call you about more information. So, but yeah, the employer toolkit was done with employers in mind, and HR people. So, all right. Well, anything else, guys?
I've got one thing.
Yeah.
This is off topic, but I was in Logan County yesterday, and I was asked to check your footwear before I left this meeting to make sure that your shoes were.
So who was it?
Denise. So
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
Were you not here at the very beginning? I put a picture of my different colors. Yeah. So I've already teased myself. Yeah. Bianca was here for that too. Yeah. If you're joining late, I wore 2 different shoes on Tuesday on the first day back in the office. So
I'm sorry, I'm not that.
I took a picture, put on Facebook. My wife took it, and with her bazillion followers, got a lot more reaction out of it. So yeah.
Yeah, I had not seen it until I got to Logan County yesterday.
Yeah.
I have to go to another county, I see your footwear.
What's funny though, is when my wife posted it, she got all kinds of people saying, oh, I've done the same thing. Or they were in more embarrassing situations before it was pointed out to them. Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, we don't have a topic for February, but if you've got something in mind or something you want to discuss, or you want to be the presenter, then reach out to me or Leslie or Frank, and we can get you guys added, no problem. Anybody else have anything else they want to say before we adjourn? Okay, well, I appreciate your time and attention, especially those of you that kept your cameras on the whole time. And those that came in person. I know we're 3 years into this now, right? Almost 4 years into this, so it's 4 years. 4 years, I said 3, 4 years. So it's funny how much it's become second nature for so many of us. But we still enjoy the convenience that you guys don't have to drive back and forth to Bowling Green if you don't live here to or work here to be able to join this stuff. So thank you all. Appreciate it. See you soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.